Gentleman yields. I now recognize Ms. Clarke from New York, the gentlelady from New York, for her 5 minutes of testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon. Let me first start by thanking our witnesses for joining us this afternoon, today. It's clear that MAGA Republican attempts to impeach Secretary Mayorkas have nothing to do with his performance and everything to do with the loyalty oath most of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have sworn to Donald Trump. After the House twice impeached Donald Trump, once for attempting to bribe an ally to investigate his political opponent and interfere in U.S. elections, and again for inciting an insurrection against the Capitol to steal an election, some of my Republican colleagues want to settle the score by impeaching someone, anyone, in the Biden administration. Secretary Mayorkas was sworn in on February 2nd of 2022. Less than 6 weeks later, Senator Lindsey Graham floated the secretary should resign during an appearance on Fox News. In May of 2021, Congressman Biggs appeared on The First and said that Secretary Mayorkas has got to go and introduced articles of impeachment of the secretary in August of that year. The secretary had not yet served 6 months. Other Republicans piled on that call in the months that followed. In April, Chairman Green fundraised off his planned impeachment efforts, telling his donors to, quote, get out the popcorn, unquote. But Secretary Mayorkas is hardly the only member of the Biden administration Republicans have disagreed with and then tried to impeach. Congressman Perry filed articles of impeachment against Attorney General Garland in October of 2021. Congresswoman Taylor Greene filed articles to impeach the Attorney General in August of 2022, FBI Director Christopher Wray in May of 2022, and filed multiple articles of impeachment against President Biden, sometimes more than one time in the same day. Congressman Norman filed articles of impeachment against Secretary Blinken in August of 2021, and Congressman Mills filed articles of impeachment against Secretary Austin in August of 2023. Meanwhile, Republicans have filed multiple resolutions to expunge the impeachments of Donald Trump. I'm concerned that my Republican colleagues fail to understand the gravity of impeachment. So, Professor Bowman, the founders engaged in robust debate when defining the criteria for impeachment. In your view, did the founders intend for impeachment to be a frequently used process to coerce the executive branch into policy decisions, or a rarely used tool reserved for extraordinary behavior that meets the definition of high crimes and misdemeanors?
Certainly the second, Congresswoman. I mean, the key point here is not only that impeaching Secretary Mayorkas will affect absolutely no change in border policy, border legislation, but even if impeaching a cabinet secretary could really accomplish something consequential, it would be terrible for the country because it would overthrow the basic principle of separation of powers on which the Constitution and our system of government are actually based. Congress and the executive are supposed to work together to solve the country's problems. They're often going to disagree about how to do that. But in our system, the solution is the hard work of legislation, of negotiation, of compromise, of coalition building. Impeachment is not and never has been the answer. And it is quite clear that the framers intended it not for that purpose whatsoever. They intended it for the most extraordinary circumstances and simply to resolve, a partisan political debate or to change policy is not it.
Thank you for your response. And Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
Gentlelady yields. I now recognize Mr. Strong. And for the